All right, we reached almost the end of this PISA conference. This is the last session. So now we go back to the theme on the use of PISA to inform school level practices. And I would like to introduce the moderator of this session, Mojca Strauss, who's a PISA Governing Board representative from Slovenia and member of the PISA Analysis and Dissemination Group.
Thank you. Hello. And I will introduce our speakers for our last session today. Speakers will discuss examples of use of PISA evidence at the school level to improve school level practices. Kitai Hao from the Chinese University of Hong Kong will present how PISA evidence as part of a strategy to promote evidence-based school improvement in Hong Kong, China. Similarly, Shaikh Al-Zabi from the Ministry of Education in the United Arab Emirates will present of PISA evidence along with other international large-scale assessments evidence, how it is used to inform school-level practices in UAE. And finally, with an online presentation, Dennis Infante, school principal, the only school principal we have, at the Angeles University Foundation Integrated School in the Philippines, where there is a, I think about midnight right now, will share the experience of their school using PISA evidence to inform improvement. So, hand to you, Kit Tai Hao. Or maybe you can use that.
I will just use this.
Yeah.
Okay. So for each participant school, we give 432 pages of report. So we asked some retired principal to bring the school report to each individual school and explain to them the results. So I briefly explain what's in the report and how we did it and whether it's helpful. So for school A, I'm just talking about two examples. So it's a famous school in a district. They have very high, the top 15% in Hong Kong in terms of affect, teaching support. So 15%, 15%, so very difficult. So all the students said, my teachers know who is doing well, and my teacher explains the content well, and you have good belongingness to the school. So it's quite good school, right? The school run a lot of drama, so it's famous in the area. But we find that they have late for school is quite low. So which means there's a lot of problem. We go to the school and we ask the principal, what happened? Why are so many students late? And the discipline master said that, oh, they're just late for a few minutes. We said, no, you have a lot of discipline problem in the classroom. So what the principal find out is that they have high support for students, they have good relation with students, but often it's at the expense of lower demand. So the principal immediately changed the school plan. So next year, they will ask all the teachers to put in equally high support, but higher demand for their students. So another school, which is Hong Kong-wide famous school, a lot of parents applying to that school and are students or are confident, 100% confident. So they have no anxiety, positive affect, but the school atmosphere. So you ask the student said that our teacher are not explaining the thing clearly, and the teacher don't know us, don't know which students is doing badly. So the principal is very sad. Originally, he thinks that his school is very famous because it's a very good school. Actually, the students think that this is a good tutorial school, coaching school. They just teach you how to do well in exam, but nothing else. So school report actually changed the principal, their perception of their school, and it is very helpful. So what we are trying to do is that it's not only the government who is trying to help the student. So this ChatGPT drawing, good or bad? ChatGPT help me to draw. So it's government alone helping the student is not enough. So what we want to do is the government working with all schools. So it's a team, right? Many people helping the student. So it's more effective. rather than just one person. But you immediately will ask, Hong Kong is a small place. We have 150 school sample for a study, but we have 400 schools. So it's 1/3 of schools have this report. But I'm a large country. What should I do? The large country should use the National Assessment Report link to their PISA result. And then they can produce equally well PISA report. So what you are doing, or what we are doing in Hong Kong, is that we put all the PISA item. No, our questionnaire is better than PISA. Why? Because we take all the PISA items. So we start with the best item in PISA and the most relevant item in PISA and add our own. For example, we add breakfast. There's a question in breakfast, right? Breakfast, how many days do you have breakfast each week? And we add sleeping hours. When do you go to bed? And is that important? And we add, for example, eyesight. I don't know whether you are aware. At least in China or in those areas, we have serious eyesight problem. We have too many students having short-sightedness. So we add questions that we want. So we benchmark this by linking your questionnaire to PISA questionnaire and by linking your result, because you have schools that took part in your national as well as in the PISA, then you can link the two scores together. That should be easy. So you can produce a school report for all the schools. But here I would like to highlight a few more statistical things. So if we look at the 2018, because 2018 is the survey that we have more higher quality questionnaire response. So we examine all these 32 questionnaires. So what I would tell you is that we calculate, if you know much about statistics, so we will use the multi-level kind of concept. So I get no response. So assuming a score in the student change a lot of times, right? There's a variance in the student score. We ask, how much of these changes, these differences, happen at the country level, at the school level, and within the school? So this kind of percentage tells us that SES, math, reading, and science, time on study, all these have around 20 to 30% across country. So you have 100% changes, so students score change a lot. So 30% to 40% of these happen across different countries. But for questionnaire, others, the average is only, for the others, the average is only 5%, which means that across different countries, if we draw the distribution of different country questionnaire over this, all of them overlap a lot. So can you find some country which are high in something? No. So all of them drastically overlapping, which means that for these 32 questionnaire, the between school are very small. All the variation happens within school. So each school have large variation. But if you put different schools over each other, they overlap a lot, just a few percent differences. So what does that mean? If there's no difference, then there's nothing to explain, unless you have differences. Otherwise, you have nothing to explain. So if we draw a graph, this is math ability. So it's math ability, different schools have different means. And then within the school, there's more differences. But if you draw the questionnaire, motivation, and all those questionnaire is something like this. All schools look very similar. But within each school, there's large variation. 80, 90% of the variation happen within each school. So the school differ very marginally different. So if you, the more depressing is that I'm showing you now 3 kinds of blocks. So you can show that there are 3 blocks. So what I'm doing, this is the easiest to understand. We calculate the correlation at 3 levels. So we calculate first is that the correlation within a school. So we ask, in a school, is the student, more motivated student, have higher score. So we find that within the school, all these instruments look well. The second question is that we ask, is a school having higher motivation? Will the school mean in the achievement in math and science higher? So we still find something work to our common sense. But if we ask whether a country high in motivation, will it have higher score? Then a lot of time it change direction. So if we use multi-level, if you know what is multi-level regression, then if you use the non-quantitative motivation to predict achievement, or you use the achievement to predict motivation, the results are very similar. So this slide is just for those mathematicians in this room. So the graph is something like this. So within school, the relation look like what the textbook will teach. But if you plot the school mean, then the relation, the positive relation may become negative. So that's what's happening here. So have we been looking at slope? Yes, actually, we do not look at mean only. We look at slope. So we find slope of equity is a slope. So it's different between two groups. We explain our result not only as mean, we explain our result in terms of the slope. And we did that. And are there relations that are contradictory to textbook? Yes, there are a lot. So these are relations typically showing a construct is in the reverse direction as what the textbook will tell you. So now I will try to relate to what we are producing in our school report. So we have 432 reports, over 100, so I'm a lazy professor. So I just did one analysis and repeat it 100 times. That's why we have 400 pages. So it's not much work. It's just repeating one thing over 100 times. Then you have 400 pages already, right? So the problem is finding the 30 other 2 pages. And there are 20 pages of instructions. So you need to work on 10 pages only. So that's what we are doing. So we give a summary table first. So on one table, around 3 pages of 100 variables, they will look at text and question mark. Originally, you put a cross, but the principal don't like cross. They don't like low indicator, so they will put question marks. So these are areas that, so you look for areas that you have a lot of text. So we put the result into 9 grades. So showing all the performance, very good to very bad. So for the best side, we actually have 3 grades only. So we are very conscious that principals don't have confidence. You don't give them things that they don't want to see. So we have 8 grades, and we also show the boy-girl difference. I'll explain. There are 4 things that we do. We show the mean difference, and we do 3 slope comparison. One is the high SES and low SES comparison, which everyone know that, and boy-girl comparison, everyone know that, and I'll talk about high-low achievers comparison. So the mean comparison, we change the direction so that all positive coded, high is good. And then the gender comparison, usually boys are lazy, right? If you are not doing that well, we want to have 0 difference. So when you have difference, usually it is the boys who are doing worse, right? So if you have big difference, then you work on the boys to improve the differences. And high-low equity, we want small is good. Equity, we want small is good. High-low achiever is that we compare the high achiever and the low achievers. And we want high achievers to do better things. For example, late for school. You want those late for school come from low achievers, right? If they are the same, there must be something wrong with your culture. If you have motivation, you want your high achiever to have higher motivation than your low achievers, right? If they have the same motivation, then there's something wrong. So we compare the high-low achievers. And we also do report in 2 scales. One is percentile score, one is the Q score. Percentile is easy to understand, percentage, right? So high percentage is good. Q score is the quotient, IQ quotient. So 100 is the mean, 15 is the standard deviation. The difference is that percentile cannot be added, but Q percentage can be added and subtract. High score is always better. So this is the common slide that we show, the last slide. 2 minutes, I'm punctual. So what we are showing is that we use the machine to write it in English for them. So for those who do not read graph, cannot read graph, we have this. In Hong Kong, high achievers are similar to low achiever in high-performing countries. So we benchmark with Singapore, with Estonia, if those high. We said that in high-performing country, high performers, and then our recommendation, very good. We even write down recommendation, very good. Keep up with the good work or slightly improve your low achiever. Recommendation, average, improve the whole school. So we even use English, simple English, to explain what they try to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shaika Al-Zabi from the United Arab Emirates, and she will present the paper from Insight to Impact Leveraging International Assessments to Elevate Educational Standards in the United Arab Emirates. Go.
We also have the mic there if you want to. Yes. Yeah, this is not.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for the OECD for having us and for this opportunity. I'm going to speak about an initiative that we have started in the United Arab Emirates related to school improvement or related to the empowering education field with some resources based on PISA and other international assessment. Our initiative called From Insight to Impact. And it is based, as I mentioned, it's for empowering educational field with the target educational resources. First, I would like to speak about the status of international assessment in the United Arab Emirates. We in the United Arab Emirates participated in several international assessments, PISA, TALIS, IELS, which is PISA for kids, TEMS, and PEARS. We have a very special education system. In the United Arab Emirates, we have the Ministry of Education that overalls the all public school. And we have other entities in each emirate that controls or manage the private school. So we have the Ministry of Education for the whole country, all public school in the whole country. We have KHDA that managing private school in Dubai. We have ADIC that manage Abu Dhabi private school, and SPIA for Sharjah, and Ras Al Khaimah entity also for Ras Al Khaimah school. Other three emirates, smaller emirates, that private school is also managed by the Ministry of Education. And our participation in the international assessment, the ministry is participate as a whole country. We have also participation from Dubai, from KHDA for private school. As an educated region, we have also participation from ADIC for Abu Dhabi, all Abu Dhabi private school, and from SPIA also. So we have a very large sample. And this large sample ended with a very rich data. From the first participation, we have a huge data that at the beginning, actually, we don't know what to do with at the beginning and the first time. Then we started the most work was on the policy level. In the policy level, there is a lot have been done in the United Arab Emirates. There is improvement on curriculum, teacher professional development. Some policy were created about bullying, about absenteeism, assessment, and so on. But on the school level, it was, there were no much effort in this particular part. And this is normal. You know that international assessment or PISA is mainly for the policy. And you can see from this conference, all the paper were in the policy level, and we have only 3 papers on there because it is mainly for the policy level. And to bring this data, the huge data, and to bring it back to the school level, it was not an easy task. From insight to impact, we thought that insight, we meant by it the international assessment result, and impact in the school level practice. The main goal was to utilize international assessment data to target educational gap and inform school level practice to raise educational standards in alignment with the UAE context. Usually the international assessment data is very rich data, but it is complicated. It is complicated to a level that not everyone in the educational field can dig on it and can reach and can handle this huge number of data. So what we thought is, how can we simplify this data to a level and to create some practical recommendation for a school that can be easily implemented by all educators. This initiative went through three stages or 3 main objectives. First of all, we identify educational gaps, then create target resources, and finally distribution and training. For identifying educational gap, we use PISA data and other international assessment as well, precisely determine areas needing improvement. Deep dive into PISA result to identify educational gap. Sometimes it is not only gap, some strength point that we wanted to be strengthened more. So detailed examination of student performance across reading, mathematics, and science. Also comparative analysis with global benchmark to highlight the strength area and development, and identifying of specific area needing target intervention. Then after highlighting those gaps or those subject of interest, the team started creating the targeted resource. Development of specific educational material tailored to address those gaps. Development of material based on the needs, the one that we have identified in the first phase. We created here several types of resources, actually 3 types of them: reports, policy briefs, and study guides. Policy brief and report, and also research as well. Customizing of these resources to address a specific educational gap, and in cooperation of best practice and evidence-based strategies. Finally, the last stage is the distribution and the training for those resources that have been created. So ensure effective utilization through widespread distribution and comprehensive training workshop. So we design a training based on those resources that we have created, and then we create a training kit that is ready to be distributed and to schools and to other educational field. Comprehensive workshop for educator and stakeholder, focus on practical. This was the main goal. We tried to make it more practical application and integration of the resource into everyday teaching. And it is a circle. It's a circle. Create, identify gaps, create resource, create the training, and so on. In the distribution, as I mentioned earlier, the education system in the United Arab Emirates separate between those entities representative or managing the private school and the public school. It was easier to start with phase 1 with those in the Ministry of Education. So for private school, this was the first stage. We targeted the different department within the Ministry of Education, like the curriculum department, the inspection, the assessment, the all, because like we in our department, which is the department of implementing the international assessment in the field, we have the expert and we have the people who knows a lot about international assessment, but this knowledge need to be communicated to everyone in the ministry in order that they can use it and can implement it in the field. So we started with public school, with the department in the Ministry of Education, and we requested, we have a meeting with each one of those departments, and we assign a coordinator from each department. Whenever we have a ready-made training kit or a ready-made guide or whatever activity, we contact this coordinator, and he gather the people needed for or responsible about it, and we train them and give them all these resources to go on to the field. This is example of the resource that we have created. We actually started with the reading team. We didn't went to the science and math yet. We started with the reading team, and they have created this. This is sample of the study guides and researches and reports that have been created for this initiative. In the process of creating those guides or those resources, sometimes we start with a report, like digital reading literacy report. This was a report created from the data of last cycle PISA. Based on it, we started do a research. A research was done based on this report. Then from this research, we created a digital reading study. This is one example. Another example, policy brief. It was a policy brief about the disparity between high and low achievers. And then we created achievement gap in reading. This was a research. And based on this research, using international assessment tasks to develop feedback, also based on this research. Sometimes we started from a research. The research about parental involvement, for example, ended with a study guide about parental involvement. What is the next step? We have to measure the impact, about creating some tool to measure the impact, accountability, initiative, some governance for this initiative, and expand the initiative for other domain like math and science and other educational entity. As I mentioned earlier, yeah, we started in the Ministry of Education, but we're gonna move to other entity that is related, and we have contacted them, but not yet start the implementation or doing anything with them that related to private school. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaika. And finally, for our finale, I will invite Dennis Infante, as I said, school principal, who will give an online presentation back from Philippines, I'm saying because it's there already at midnight, and I would say that we really appreciate your involvement, and the floor to you.
Hello, good evening. Do you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Hello, are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready. So do you
Okay.
see my presentation?
We can't hear you, it seems.
Oh,
Okay, that sounds right now.
okay. So good evening from the Philippines, and good afternoon there, and to the rest of the world, good morning. I am very grateful for this opportunity to share with you our experiences here in the Philippines. My presentation describes the space where the rubber truly meets the road, and that is the school. The evidence and results of PISA cycle assessments become alive as schools use them for improvements. The Philippine education system has been faced with a lot of challenges. While there may be system level adjustments or initiatives to bring about change and improvement, I believe empowering schools, principals, and teachers might be one of the routes that lead to academic success and a high level proficiency of students. OECD suggests that high-performing schools with school autonomy have effective accountability systems and highly qualified teachers and strong leaders to design and implement school-based evaluations and curricula. Whereas in low-performing schools, central authority takes responsibilities for human resources, budgeting to a certain extent by principal and school governing board, and curriculum and assessment, with teachers having minor roles or responsibilities. Key to our innovation and improvement initiatives is the interplay of empowerment, responsibility, and accountability in order to produce strategies, results, and improvement. Of course, central to this is commitment and competence. In a way, this is our conceptual framework in our quest to integrate and utilize evidence of PISA. The following provide a current context of Philippine education system, including the number of schools classified primarily as public and private, and over 23.8 million students currently enrolled for this academic year. The Angeles University Foundation, this is my school. It is a university. It is a private higher education institution which offers programs in the basic education that is supervised by the integrated school that offers preschool, grade school, junior high school, and senior high school. The school voluntarily subjects itself to accreditation and certification as a means to foster quality in the delivery of its programs and services. The Department of Education grants autonomy to schools with PASCO Level 3 accreditation. Our accreditation empowers us to innovate or improve our curriculum, instruction, and assessment programs. With PISA evidence, our school goes through the empowerment process of utilizing the PISA evidence toward improvement of its curriculum, instruction, and assessment through a specific target. Then the school sets two actions. When we identify our target, we would have to set two actions. So the first action is producing a document that outlines our programs, such as policy or guidelines, side by side with number two, delivery actions or steps. Our delivery actions are geared towards creating, improving, or innovating our programming document or our existing mechanics, guidelines, policy, or framework inform what set of actions to make that would lead to improvement. The completion of this leads to accountability measures in the form of assessment and evaluation that would provide evidence for the attainment of education outcomes. Key stakeholders must also be engaged in the whole process. The basis of PISA evidence includes the different publications of OECD pertaining to the PISA 2018 and 2022 cycle assessments. We had to do this so that we may be able to practically use the insights of that we could draw from the different publications of OECD regarding PISA 2018 and 2022. So the analysis are coded or classified into four scenarios of PISA participating countries and economies. Scenario A, green, reflects that a certain variable is present or high in a certain country or economy with high level of performance or proficiency. Scenario B, blue, indicates that there is absence or low level of a certain variable for a country with high level of performance. Scenario C, yellow, indicates that the countries and economies with low level of performance do not have or have low level of a particular variable. Scenario D, orange, indicates that the value of context or variable is present or high, and the level of performance is low. The outstanding scenarios here would be scenario A and B. So we basically looked at scenario A and scenario B. For student well-being, as in this slide, characteristics of top-performing schools can be practically integrated in the programming of class hours in school. For example, eliminating or controlling the possibility of hunger or not having eaten before attending class. For curriculum and instruction, countries and economies that reported quality learning time versus too little or too much for homework class hours scored better in PISA 2022. Other characteristics for these performing countries include providing sufficient extracurricular activities, as well as the effective utilization of learning management system or school resources. PISA evidence also provides inputs for resilient program delivery. This classification focuses on characteristics of schools with high level of performance despite the challenges of the pandemic. Specifically, many of their students spared from longer school closures. Students had access to teachers' help with strong parental engagement. On school leadership and governance, items include budget, competence of teachers and school staff. It is important to note that teachers are mentored, monitored in terms of their delivery of instruction and assessment. Using the framework of curriculum redesigned by OECD, so this is our first initiative to improve our curriculum. And we used curriculum redesigned by OECD. The school set the target to redesign its curriculum. The goal is to produce curriculum document through a series of actions that include curriculum mapping. The school involved various stakeholders in the process. So we have here curriculum redesigned by OECD. So we actually translated it into this process. So this slide is a representation of the process of curriculum redesign. It aims to address issues of curriculum overload through redesign by regulating learning time, focusing on big ideas, among others. PISA frameworks for science, math, reading, global competence, and financial literacy also serve as benchmarks in our curriculum mapping process, and they could be integrated as content or performance standards in the different subject areas. So you're going to see that in the box for enrichment and integration. So analyzing PISA frameworks, the school had to code the different competencies measured by the different frameworks. So we just labeled it as students are able to apply knowledge and skills in solving real life or context-based problems. This is done in order to easily stipulate the learning competency across subject areas and grade levels based on the various contents for the different subject areas. So curriculum mapping is also another process that we did, particularly vertical and horizontal articulation. So curriculum mapping analyzes the content and competencies of each subject area. So vertical articulation creates the progression of content and competencies within the discipline across grade levels. On the other hand, horizontal articulation looks at the connectedness of the different subject areas in a particular grade level. With curriculum mapping, the school was able to identify content and competencies that are either disciplinary, that means unique to the subject, or interdisciplinary, that is highly connected, relevant, same or similar to those of another subject area. The last box with check boxes lists our possible options on how to treat our findings in the curriculum mapping. Note that some subjects can only be fused or integrated if they have more common interdisciplinary content and competencies. Thus, decongestion of topic time, and resources can be done as some content and competencies get integrated or fused. And assessment can be made more meaningful with integrated multidisciplinary tasks rather than an assessment output or task for each of the subject area. With curriculum innovation, this is our second goal. With curriculum innovation, the school also has to improve or innovate its lesson planning and instruction. So it goes without saying that when you do something about your curriculum, so therefore the delivery would have to adjust one way or the other. So with curriculum innovation, the school also has to improve or innovate its lesson planning and instruction. And very important here is how to equip the teachers with the skills to be able to deliver the competencies that are stipulated in the curriculum, including the framework that is integrated in the curriculum. So therefore, faculty development program is implemented every year to align teaching and assessment practices of teachers. So we conduct faculty development program at the start of the school year and during the semester break. The programming of teaching learning activities goes beyond just simply preparing the class schedule of the students. So this is our third initiative. It is because we innovated our curriculum, we had to do something about the delivery of instruction. So therefore, the programming of teaching learning activities should also follow. So as I pointed out, we have identified PISA evidence that would have to be integrated or that would serve as our benchmarks in doing something about our scheduling. So based on PISA evidence, there are a number of variables that must be considered before, during, and after class hours. So the goal features A, students' readiness for class, B, deep learning periods, C, supervised tasks and homework, D, homeroom guidance and resilience and wellness program, and letter E, club and student-driven activities, which are consistent with PISA evidence. So we also used some evidence, particularly in the programming of classes, we included evidence discussed by Matthew Walker, citing that adequate sleep could be a factor for better academic performance. Similarly, the work of Bronson and Merriman also assert the importance of sleep in education. Providing enough sleep by delaying start of classes would potentially help students become ready for academic tasks. We also consider the principle discussed in Deep Work by Cal Newport. So in education, for students, deep work is deep learning or uninterrupted focus of students on lessons and learning tasks. So this is the result of the process that we did. So curriculum mapping allowed us to achieve a programming mechanism that integrates pieces of evidence for best practices. In the old setup, without integration of learning tasks and competencies, classes started at 7 a.m. and ended at 3 or 4 p.m. With integration of PISA evidence, the design emphasizes quality of teaching learning interactions and experiences over quantity. So PISA evidence suggests that school closure can negatively impact learning, contributing to learning loss. So in the Philippines, class suspensions usually occur due to typhoons, heat index, among other disruptions to school learning activities. So we decided to look at the PISA evidence and make our program delivery resilient. Finally, assessment is an important factor of the attainment of education outcomes. Classroom assessment practices, school-based standardized assessment, and utilization of assessment data are some actions that address the PISA evidence. Coded yellow standardized achievement testing is currently a work in progress. We believe that establishing our school's level of proficiency is the best indicator of attaining education outcomes, a very important measure of accountability to continue efforts of improving school programs. So for our lessons, we believe that schools should be able to determine what PISA evidence may be integrated or used to improve curriculum, instruction, and assessment according to the needs and context of the school. Further, we could say that schools should also be able to reflect on the alignment of PISA frameworks with teaching and assessment activities in the delivery of curriculum. Schools use PISA frameworks and evidence not to prepare students for tests or for scores. Schools integrate PISA frameworks and use evidence as the proxy for the kind of future they want their students to achieve. Lastly, empowering schools is just one of the many considerations to make to address problems. The PISA evidence begs the question, how will system-level actions support school empowerment to make improvements for their students? So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all three presenters for your presentations. And I am now opening the floor for questions. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I have a question to Sheikh Azabi. You presented a very comprehensive strategy outlining many goals very comprehensively, but all that in a UAE context on one slide. So could you possibly outline the, let's say, 2 or 3 main challenges that the UAE face in developing its education system further? Thank you.
A very, very difficult question, because they are in general, يعني, if you we have an education system that is based on the Ministry of Education, as I mentioned, is overarching all the public school. On the other hand, we have the private school. Most of our national students in private school, and we have strong entities that that is spending a lot of money in ensuring that private school is doing better. And what we can see is that private school is really doing better than public school in the United Arab Emirates. This is one challenge. On the other hand, we have a large gap between high achiever and low achiever. And this is also another challenge that we face in the United Arab Emirates. In general, what we are trying to do, there is a lot of restructuring. And actually, I came here with last month, the restructuring started in the Ministry of Education. We used to have two ministries. Let's say one is responsible about operational, so a separate entity. And another separate entity, which is the Ministry of Education, is the legislation here. And this separation was causing a lot of problem. The new structure merged those two into one entity. And the only being separated is the Ministry of Higher Education. So yeah, there is a lot of issue. I cannot summarize them but it's also we can see a lot of improvement. The improvement in the scores and the result of all international assessment is going. Our scores is going up, and there is a lot of effort and a lot of support from leadership. Leadership is concentrating a lot on the education field in particular.
Thank you, Shaka. Just keep the microphone because I would like to add a little question here we got from the online. So Anna would like to know which year the initiative in UAE started?
It started last year, actually.
Last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'll keep that part for later. If there's any other question in the floor. Okay, maybe then I will end the question that we also got on the online chat from Anna, and it's actually also my question, is when and how will you assess the impact or effects of the initiatives? And this would I like to direct to actually all three presenters. First of all, perhaps Shaika, you start. Maybe how you plan to see whether the initiatives, the changes you're trying to introduce are making an effect.
Maybe I have يعني mentioned in my last slide and presentation, this is the next step, is to try to measure this impact on the student. Mainly it will be like in our national assessment result and other assessment, but actually يعني, this is the main thing for now, and we are planning to build or create those measures as well.
Maybe Ketal, do you have plans to evaluate the effects of initiatives and changes and school reports?
Yes.
Or how do you see their impact?
I think we would love to see more schools asking for this kind of reports and apply to our regional, our district territory-wide system assessment as well. I think my contribution is that we try to alert. Most people will just do a mean comparison, a league table, and stop there. What I'm trying to argue with those statistics is that slope are more important than mean. So slope comparison, like gender slope, SES, if you are lazy, because there are too many ways of cross-tabulation. But cross-tabulation with gender, SES, and achievement usually provide you with rich information that you can change. For example, targeting at your boy, targeting at low SES student, targeting at high achiever if they are not motivated enough, if they are late for school. So my contribution is that I try to convince you that slope are more important than mean. The second thing is that I try to argue that P-score, percentile score, and quotient score, IQ score, are easy to understand than the raw mean 3.43, that kind of thing you can't understand. And all these mean change a lot. So giving them a percentile score and Q score will help you understand the graph. The third thing is that principal, not all principal love statistics. So give them a conclusion. So you can see that in my report, I always end with words. English, simple English words. Improve the boys, improve the girls, or help the low SES student. So I have specific, of course, this is not AI. This is just coding your result into 12 categories and then put them into English words and ask them to help certain group of students. I think that will probably help the school. So because we actually have evolved different versions. So what I'm talking, telling to you is the latest version that we have been using with school.
Thank you. And maybe Dennis, online, you have some thoughts about seeing the effects of the initiative you mentioned?
Yeah, right. So although we have some school data, we analyze school data for to measure and to assess whether we are targeting our objectives. Ultimately, we believe that we have to be able to have a school standardized achievement tests at the end of the to be given to students at the end of the academic year. So, but we're actually looking at the available standardized tests in the market available for private schools and for basic education. But we really have to look into the competencies that are being assessed by these standardized achievement tests so that we are sure that we are measuring the competencies that we stipulated in our curriculum. So that is actually our initiative for this academic year.
Thank you. So there still will be a lot of interest to do next round of PISA. Are there other questions? Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. My question goes to Dennis. Dennis, with regards to the changes with regards to the curriculum and the way the school is being run, are there any challenges that you have faced with regards to getting the teachers to come on board, with regards to tagging along? How have you how have you made it possible that the teachers agree to the changes being done and they're able to implement all those in their classrooms? Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. So actually, yeah, there will be some resistance like that. So right off the bat, when you introduce innovations like that, so we do not pour everything all at the same time. So we actually structure in such a way that the teachers are going to be on board little by little. So it's just like the theory or the principle of nudge by Taylor, if you're familiar with that. So it's going to be little by little putting the structure so that the teachers would easily absorb a little piece of change, and then you introduce another piece of change, another piece, until you are going to be able to get to uh put all the teachers on board with the changes that we are introducing with them. So if I may contextualize this or give an example, like we would like to introduce a design thinking and problem-based learning in our curriculum. So we started it with a training, not necessarily forcing the teachers to implement in the classroom. And then after that year, we conducted another training on problem-based learning. This time, the teachers are going to be doing at least a lesson to be able to integrate that. And then the following year, and then the following. So it goes like that. So we do not immediately force the teachers to, hey, these are the changes that we're going to have in our school. So everybody should follow this. No, we have to empower them little by little, so that they will embrace the change in the school. So that's how we did it.
Thank you, Dennis. There was another question, Eduardo. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to be sure this is working. Yes, so regarding the school reports in Hong Kong, it's very interesting. I was wondering how your relations with schools changed once you started doing that, and did you get any feedback on what were the most useful pieces of information in there? Because I know the reports are pretty long. I'm trying to think of some low-hanging fruit for all of us that would be simple to implement and that would be the most useful. And I'll just add one more. Have you seen any changes since you implemented these reports?
Yes, we are improving in each cycle. So we produce a long report, but we have a short summary. So what the principal have to do is to read the first 3 pages of summary, text and cross, so they know their strength area. And if they want, they can look into the detail in the following pages. I mean, they just use this library and check the respective, and there's a simple click, and then they go to 332 pages, that kind of information. So we produce a 3-page report. We think that there's enough brief, but we find that principals are not good at reading reports. So we produce a 1-page summary of the summary. So we are improving each time. And we, in a recent round, we hired retired principal. So we train the retired principal on looking what the strength, how to look for important areas. So we hire some retired principal to go there and then look at that. One special feature is that in Hong Kong, we have a national test, but the national test results are always confidential to the government. So our education ministry never, unlike US, unlike UK, unlike Australia, the results are never published. And our university do it for you, for them, but we sort of send a private, like the PISA is the same. So we have a PISA report, we privately give it to, so the principal decide who they want to show, but we ask them not to deposit in the public. So they use it internally for school improvement. And the government just get a government report, the whole overall of Hong Kong. They never know which school is which school. So there's a way we try to convince that they should look at the report, and there's a health check, internal health check. We try to do that kind of low stake pressure, not particularly high stake pressure on them.
Yes, thank you. We have time for one more question if there is pressing. Yes, one more. Okay. And so this would be the final.
Thank you so much. The question goes to Hong Kong. In your last statement, talking about low pressure and so forth. So with the reports, how do you balance between putting the schools under pressure to perform? You know, when you send them the reports, of course, they would want to perform better or as other schools are performing. So how do you balance that?
There's a political question, not an educational question, because in Hong Kong, previously they have a very strong teacher union that kind of always don't want. So in the public debate, sort of we settle on a scheme that we provide a health check, but it won't be made public. So it's unlike most of the Western countries that Australia, US, and they all have their school report performance out in the public. But we sort of settle on the solution is low stake, just internal. But I think in the Hong Kong context, students are spending too much time on homework or schoolwork. So they decided we actually want to reduce the portion of time spent on homework or schoolwork and spend more time on other activities. So that's the kind of balance. We want to reduce the coaching school that kind of things. That's why accountability is important, but we try not to pressurize the school, particularly in the population decline, that some schools are facing closure and they want to show their best performance to the public. So I think there's a just balance. And this, so our university provides the academic report. We play the academic role, but the government negotiate with the teacher union and other parties and the school sponsoring bodies and to decide what's the right mix of pressure.
Thank you very much. Thank you again to all three presenters. May I ask you to give them final applause? I also want to thank all of you that stayed here till the final session, and I'll give floor back to Samaya.
Thank you. Thank you.